feel about like part one and part two? Because they're separate cases. I feel like each girl deserves her own story. So, how do you feel? I really don't want to put them all in one video. That would be very long, which I know you guys like, but I feel like they deserve their own story. So, I'm going to jump right into this one. This is the case of Alexis Tiara Murphy. She's been missing from Shipment, Virginia since August 3rd, 2013. I'm going to apologize, as always, for something. The wind is whipping outside, and I don't know if you can hear it or not. This behind me, obviously, is a window. And it's just a nasty, nasty day outside. I'm glad it's not snow. I'm glad it's not ice. But it's New Year's Eve, so it could be either one of those things. Thank goodness. Anyway, Alexis is, well, she was 17 when she went missing. 5'7", 156 pounds. She is an African American female. Black hair, brown eyes. She had her right nostril pierced and the right side of her upper lip pierced. On the day that she went missing, she was headed to a nearby town to get some hair extensions and get her hair done for her senior pictures, which were right around the corner. Her mom stated that she got up because she knew she was to give Alexis some money and that she was going to head off to work right after that. The mom, Laura, not Alexis, she's quoted to say that she was laughing, she was happy, she walked out of the house, and that was the last time that I ever saw her. Just after 3 p.m., Alexis posted on her Twitter account that she was Berg bound. She was on her way to Lynchburg, which was about a 20-minute drive from her home in Shipment, Virginia. And like I said, her mother was on her way for the overnight shift at the post office. What do you do overnight at the post office? Is that when the mail gets sorted? I don't know. Don't know anything about that. So, in the wee hours of the morning, Alexis's grandmother woke up and found out that Alexis did not make her midnight curfew. And she'd never done that before. And so she called Laura, the mother, and Laura called Troy, the father, and said Alexis didn't come home. And he told her right then and there that she needed to call the police. He was trying to keep calm and not panic because, you know, as a father in this sort of situation, all sorts of stuff runs through your head. And he knew that it was unlike her to go out. Number one, not come home before her curfew, and number two, not bring his car home. So, the local sheriff's department was notified, and so are friends of Alexis, because her social media footprint was very large, and she had thousands of followers. These people just started coming and searching. The state police showed up. They had a helicopter in the air that night, and the FBI was called in too, which I think is kind of weird because I don't think the FBI is immediately called in missing person cases, but hey, whatever works. I think it's great. So 3 days after Alexis, disappeared, police made a disturbing discovery. They found her father's Nissan that she was driving in a movie theater parking lot in Charlottesville. Of course, it was abandoned. Most of these quotes come from Anthony Martin. He was a former attorney in Nelson County, and he dealt with this case. So the interview that I found is mostly him, so I'll be quoting him a lot. So they captured the car arriving on mall surveillance cameras. It was seen pulling in around 10:30 that night, the day after Alexis went missing, so that Sunday. But you couldn't see who got out of it, of course. They, of course, really tried to really enhance the video, but it was very grainy, black and white surveillance footage. It was nighttime, and wasn't driving at the time, so I don't really know. Anyway, so they check the surveillance footage of the gas station, and they found a video of her coming and getting gas shortly before she disappeared. It was normal. She didn't seem like she was upset. She wasn't sad. She was happy. She went in, she got paid for something, and she walked out. But as she walked out of the gas station, a man held the door for her. She doesn't say anything to him. She doesn't look at him. She doesn't stop. But the man in the surveillance footage had a very unique neck tattoo and a very distinctive car. He had a camouflage Chevy Suburban. And right at the same time that they found all of this, the FBI zeroed in on her cell phone signal. It was pinging, and it was eerily close to the gas station. It was located in an area about maybe 1 mile north of the gas station. So, FBI agents and Virginia State Police swarmed the area of the cell phone's location. It was abandoned property, an old house right beside Route 29 along the main highway. It was summertime, so there was tons of vegetation, so finding a cell phone in that was pretty difficult. But parked in the overgrown brush was a camouflage Chevy Suburban. And very quickly, detectives were greeted by a familiar face. A man with a very large tattoo on his neck of Daffy Duck. He apparently met them at the beginning of the property and, of course, didn't say anything that would directly implicate him. But the creep factor went off as they got closer to his camper. He had a video camera on top of the camper that pointed out towards the driveway. And Attorney Martin described him as the kind of person that made the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Just one of those people you know that's just not right. So, this man identified himself as Randy Taylor, and the cocky, that's the only way I can describe it, egotistical man that he is, invited detectives inside his trailer. But once they got inside, one of the detectives found a diamond stud in the carpet. It was either a nose piercing or an earring. They also found a fingernail, and on the pillow of Randy Taylor's bed was a long black hair that was consistent with an African American female. Obviously, at this point, they can't arrest Mr. Taylor, so they take the potential evidence for DNA testing, and they start to do some more research into this guy. They look at other footage from the gas station, and they realize that Alexis was seen leaving the gas station following behind Mr. Taylor's vehicle. The evidence, the stud, the hair, and the broken fingernail matches Alexis's DNA. At this point, Randy Taylor's officially a suspect, obviously. So they presented him with this evidence, and he finally says, okay, yeah, I saw her. She came to my house with a black guy with dreadlocks. That's a quote. I'm not trying to be racist. They came to his camper to get drugs, drank a few beers, and then she left, laughing and smiling, and that was the last time that he saw her. And he gives the cops a name, Damian Bradley. And, of course, Attorney Martin talks to him, and he flat out denied ever meeting Mr. come up with a reason why she would follow him to his camper, but apparently the aunt recognized him as a man that used to work at a used car lot, and he handed her the keys when she purchased a car. So now detectives are doing a little bit more digging, and they're starting to ask questions. The attendants at the gas station where they were seen said that he always made them uncomfortable, that he would come there in his Suburban and back into a corner spot of the lot and just sit there for hours watching people come and go. He was placed earlier the day that Alexis went missing, getting videos from a porn store. Attorney Martin said that they felt like there was some kind of sexual motivation to the missing case, obviously, and that they really needed to get inside the trailer and get more evidence. So they asked for a search warrant, and it was granted. So, under the couch, they make a dreadful discovery. They find a t-shirt balled up under the sofa, and they found some black hair extensions and a set of artificial eyelashes. The t-shirt was identified as the same one that Randy Taylor was wearing in the surveillance footage, but it had one noticeable difference: a stain. It was on the back of the shirt, and it was blood. Everything matched Alexis: eyelashes, hair extensions, and the blood. Inside the home, they found creepy photo albums that he had found pictures of people, like pornographic pictures of people, and cut out their faces and put faces of like his coworker's daughter on top of the So at this point, they still haven't found Alexis's cell phone, and I didn't know this, and I think it's really cool. The Department of Corrections in Virginia has dogs that are specifically trained to detect cell phones. Lucy would never find my cell phone. Maybe if I taped a treat to it, but that's really, like, how do you sniff out a cell phone? Why don't they use it in all these other cases where the cell phones can't be found? Like, that's so weird that some states have this stuff and some people don't. Anyway, police release the canines on Taylor's property, and they find Alexis's iPhone 15 feet from the camper. So, he's sitting in jail, and the police start to question. There are numerous reports of other girls that have gone missing in this same area. So, did they catch the right guy? Or is he a serial killer? There were 4 girls missing around that general time, 5-year time span and area. Alexis, Virginia Tech student Morgan Harrington, went missing from Charlottesville, the same town where they found Alexis's car. Samantha Clark went missing from the town of Orange, Virginia, which is minutes from Charlottesville. And Hannah Graham, who disappeared in Charlottesville. I think I'm going to do videos on each of these girls. They searched for Alexis's body for 5 long months. Obviously, they're still searching. But after that 5-month mark, Attorney Martin started researching homicides without a body. And he ran across a case conviction. A suspected serial killer makes local news headlines. Jesse Matthew. He was a person of interest that came about in the Morgan Harrington case, and later with the UVA student Hannah Graham. Jesse Matthews was charged with the abduction and murder of Morgan Harrington and Hannah Graham. Both girls went missing out of Charlottesville, the same area that Alexis disappeared. Jesse Matthew was a large African American guy with dreadlocks. The same description that Randy Taylor gave the cops of the man who he had claimed left his camper with Alexis the day she disappeared. So of course, police start wondering if they convicted the wrong guy. Randy Taylor sat behind bars convicted of abducting and murdering her, and Taylor has always maintained his innocence and sticks to his story. Jesse Matthews was a person of interest in 2 other homicides in Central Virginia, and because he sort of fit the description of what Mr. Taylor said, his attorney wanted us to explore whether or not he had anything to do with Alexis Murphy. So they took Jesse Matthews' DNA and they compare it to the other samples extracted from Taylor's camper. He was excluded from the case. His DNA was not found at the scene. It's just more proof that Randy Taylor is her killer, and his conviction and life sentences will stand. But of course, now that he can't find anyone else to blame stuff on, he changes his story and wants to cut a new deal. He suddenly, at his sentencing, says, "Oh, I'll tell you where she is, if you'll cut my sentence down to 20 years. I fully respect her family for doing this. They said no. They said that they couldn't rest without knowing that they didn't do all that they could to put this man away. While they do want to find Alexis, and they do believe that she deserves to be laid to rest somewhere that they can go visit, she deserves to know that the man that hurt her, oh, it's so windy outside, is behind bars. Not that he would get out in 20 years. So they felt like they would be giving in to him if they agreed to lessen his sentence. So they denied his plea. Her aunt is quoted to say that she definitely thinks that if he didn't get 2 life sentences, that he would have struck again. But had he already? Catch up with me next time, and I'll tell you about another case that Randy Taylor is involved in, and we will discuss whether or not you think he did it. But tell me, what do you think did he do with Alexis Murphy? Like, obviously he drove her car to that movie theater, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't find any. He was ballsy enough, excuse my French, but to invite those detectives in his house. They probably would not have found that evidence if he had not just invited them in, like, and then, they didn't have a search warrant when they first went there to search his house. They didn't have the right to be in there. He invited them in, so really, he kind of sliced his own throat. But why did she follow him there? That's so weird to me. Like, what did he offer her to get her to follow him there? And like, her hair was on his bed, so he probably assaulted her, which is just sad. And then like, her nose ring, her lip ring was on the carpet and a broken fingernail, so she struggled, but he didn't have any visible marks, and there was no blood found except on that t-shirt, but it wasn't a significant amount of blood, not enough that they immediately recognized it as blood. They sent it out for testing. So what did he do to her? Like, if he strangled her, there wouldn't have been her cell phone, so clearly if he had put her out there somewhere, they would have found her. So I agree with Attorney Martin. You shouldn't not convict someone of murder because they're really good at hiding a body. I do think it's kind of weird. I don't know what year he was sentenced, but I still find it kind of weird that he hasn't admitted, like, tried again to maybe say, I'll tell you where she is if you reduce my sentence, But then I hear about this other case, and I'm like, this guy's a sicko. And the aunt is right. Like, I fully believe that he hurt both of these girls. We'll talk about the other one next time, but her name's Samantha. And the aunt is right. He would have hurt more people if he wasn't behind bars, and he deserved to be convicted. I don't know what he did with Alexis's body, and it's just so sad that, again, her family's gone all this time without any sort of closure, but I totally respect the fact that they did not let him plea deal out. As much